going to work on making a radio commentary. The reason is, one, they're relatively brief. They don't take as long to make as does like a full video feature does. And also they're very meaningful pieces. So it's really great if you can walk away with one of these as well as a video feature at the end of the semester. A radio commentary, my favorite thing about radio commentaries is you can finally use the word I. And there's not many times in audio features and video features when you can use the first person. So it's a short, conversational, basically first-person essay. It's a time when you can share an experience that's happened in your life. It's a time when you can just be more personable and it's more meaningful to you as like you specifically. If you're writing about a controversial topic like politics, religion, it's not a rant. It's not a 2-minute just like rant, throw it all out there, but it's using your own unique perspective to tell a story and implement, certain social issues sometimes, or even just individually, like in your own household, in your own school. It's really great because it's taking an experience that's happened to you and telling the world basically, and then implementing something else that's going on that's major. A SPOT student, Caden, who's actually now a production assistant in level 1, he created a story. I'll kind of break down like how we got to him creating this piece and what elements of this piece really stand out. But for now, I'll just have you guys listen to it.
Or that movie about the magic pills that make you an outgoing overachiever? Well, they exist, and you can get them at your local pharmacy. It's a cool little quirk to impress the other kids in your 4th grade class. It's 5th grade and you're a funny kid. Sometimes your parents forget to give you your medication and your peers get to see how funny you really are. But otherwise, you're not you. You don't want to eat. You don't want to talk. You're astonishingly emotional. Your mom gives you a pill at night so you can focus on your homework, but you can't sleep. And sometimes it doesn't stop when you're not on the pill. It's 8th grade.
They're usually about 1 to 2 minutes long. Some can go up to 10 minutes because there's certain instances where you can incorporate like interviews into it. But generally, just think of it as like a personal narrative essay, like a 1 to 2 page essay about something in your life. Write about something that's passionate to you. So we're going to do an exercise at the end that'll help kind of narrow down what you guys want to talk about. But for Caden, he wrote down like 6 things that were important to him. He put like school, family, I think like work, like really general things. And then I was like, circle a couple of them. He circled school and he circled homework. And then he wrote after that ADHD. And then he circled that. And then he wrote this story. So we're going to kind of help you guys formulate it, like really think about something that like really like hits deep with you. A lot of stats, a lot of his past experiences, but also try to make a way to include the audience with it as well. So like he used using second person, kind of doing a timeline. So he kind of went from like 4th grade all the way up to high school. So you get the full timeline for this ADHD. Write like you speak. So I mean, probably not a couple of you may have met Caden if you guys went to boot camp, but that's how he talks in person. Write conversationally. If it's a funny piece, use humor. It doesn't have to always be like a serious, like sad thing that happened, or if it's something, lighthearted, if it's, then you can use humor, you can use lighthearted vocabulary. Rhythm and tone, so sentence patterns. So you could see he kind of put like that tapping in the background, but also made his sentences like really short, really crisp, and always like kind of led them on. There wasn't a lot of space between the words because he was trying to make it seem like, he's always kind of fast-paced, always kind of doing something. But then, like on the pill, it stopped. He had those like little spaces where it'd just be silent. So kind of going off that idea that, always running around, but then when he was on the medication, he was able to slow down, but became kind of like emotionless. So kind of playing around with however your piece is supposed to go. We'll go over scripting too after you guys kind of come up with your ideas, but always just read it out loud a lot of times and really keep asking yourself, like, is this me? Is this like my story I'm trying to tell? Am I telling it in the right way? Don't tell a story for someone else. Tell your story and then let other people hear it. I think is the best way to explain a radio commentary. And one thing too, which is in Caden's piece as well, to realize is there's always some kind of transformation or something that's different from the beginning. Little things too. Short sentences usually work the best. But I mean, when you're talking in a conversation, you don't really drag on a long, flowy, eloquent sentence. And it's easier when you record to have those short sentences to know when to take breaths. But we can go over those breathing exercises later too. And avoid cliches. I thought this was interesting. I mean, some of them we know, but down to earth, get to the bottom of, years young, like cliches that you use every day, you don't really realize you're using them. Generally in radio, you want to try to avoid them when you can. We're going to do this exercise, but just a couple questions to keep in mind when you're choosing a topic is why should people care and how can you make them care? So kind of like when we did our pitches for these video projects, like how is this going to impact the community? Why should people listen to it? Same thing with your piece. You know, you don't want to just rant about a bad grade that you got on a test unless, you know, why should we care that you got a bad grade on the test? Like, how is that impacting you or something that's going on? You know, so just kind of constantly keep those questions in your mind, and it'll just make the piece even more meaningful for you and for the audience.